and I am excited that you are watching the Nitty Grit.
I left my job because I knew that I needed to become the person I'm supposed to be.
I can flip the script in my life too and choose confidence and not be so fear-based.
I always like to look at confidence. I say confidence is something that you don't have to work for. It's what you get to be.
You come into my life and you bring so much and have, you're an inspired artist.
And I felt that with you because you actually reached out to me. And I said, no, this is someone special. I know that I have experienced the grief recovery that you do. So I'm just grateful that we have people like you out there doing this because it's so needed. I love that analogy. I'm personally guilty of living in dreams and actually a lot of ideas.
Learning to be sensitive in a time of frustration, learning to be confident in a time of frustration, learning to be, someone told me this the other day and I was like, I'm gonna say that somewhere, I'm gonna say it here. Learn to be kind to yourself.
We're all born, right, with these, we have unique heartbeats, we have a unique fingerprint. There's obviously an imprint that each of us are supposed to leave and have here in this world.
Make it a great day because y'all know y'all can. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Hello. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to the Nitty Grit. I am really excited tonight. My two guests. Oh my gosh, you guys are in for a treat. So I know that many of you out there can be doing anything on your Friday night, but you have chosen to be here and I welcome you. I am very excited. Welcome YouTube, welcome Facebook. My two guests, okay, they are phenomenal women. I personally believe that they are making their own history and they are some of the most amazing individuals that you could ever meet. They are like triple treat talent type women. And so I cannot wait for you to meet them. I'd like to just go ahead and start and just bring them on, but I want to thank you guys just for watching on this Friday night. First up, I would like to welcome Ginger Britt Daniels. Hi, Ginger.
Hello. Hi.
Yay.
Sure.
Welcome. And my next guest, y'all, is the wonderful Elizabeth June. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you, beautiful?
So nice to see you, beautiful. You both beautiful ladies.
Good to see both of y'all. Oh my goodness. I thank you for being here this Friday night. Thank you for being here. I think that people are going to really enjoy y'all. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself while I fix this little hair strand here. So I would love for Ginger for you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and tell them who you are, anything that you want them to know about you, all that good stuff. Go for it, girl.
All right. Hi, I'm Ginger, and I am an actress. I'm a producer. I'm a writer. I'm also a singer and a songwriter and a dancer and sometimes a choreographer. So I kind of do it all. I don't have much time for hobbies because I do all of that. Those are my passions, and I love performing. I love the performing arts, and I live with a menagerie of rescue animals as well as my husband. And I love, that's my other passion is, rescuing animals that need love. So that's me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Ginger. I'm calling you Jennifer. Excuse me,
That's
y'all.
it.
Thank you for sharing that, Ginger. Girl, you are a woman that does a lot. And I've watched you on the scene and I love everything you do. Like, rescuing those animals. I mean, I even see animals in my area that are lost, just looking to find their home. So thank you for being a part of that and contributing to taking care of them. Thank you. And all the other stuff you do is pretty fabulous as well. So thank you. June, are you ready, honey?
I am.
Tell the
Thank
people
you
who
so
you
much.
are.
Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Elizabeth June, but that is my performance name. That is my SAG-AFTRA name and my equity name on stage. However, the name on my birth certificate was June Elizabeth Sewer, as in the waste conduit. That's why we had to change that. Right. So now, so now that I'm married, my legal name is June Elizabeth Williams. But since I already had some credits under Elizabeth June and it's already with SAG and everything, I just keep it that way. So that's why I kind of like alternate between those aliases. So I'm originally from the Boogie Down Bronx, but my mother and my grandmother are from Texas. So that's where Chantel and I have a little thing there with the Texas. Woohoo! So, so I'm half Texan. My father's family's from the Virgin Islands, so I have a little Caribbean in me as well. You know, so got to throw that in there. And also, I am an actor. I am a writer. I am a singer-songwriter. I have worked with children. I have worked with seniors. I have worked with people in at-risk youth facilities at Rikers Island, correctional facilities. I've done all kinds of background type of work helping people. And I get that from my mom. My mom used to be in the prison ministry, and she used to be very much involved in going to sing at the senior homes. So I've been doing that since I was a little kid. So now I'm doing it as a grown-up, helping the senior homes and all that kind of stuff too. So those are the things that I kind of bring to the table. And I'm also a certified yoga instructor, and I have like a little 7 at 7 sessions on Facebook, free, completely free. If you ever want to go to Silverlocks Yoga with June, that's on Facebook. And I also teach kids. So I have a teaching artist class that I teach Theater Thursdays with Miss June, and I do that on Thursday. Online, totally Zoom.
Honey, thank you, June, for sharing all of that. Between you and Ginger, y'all like hold the world down as far as I'm concerned. Y'all got it going on. Thank you for what you do too, honey. I appreciate you both. You know, we're talking about women making history and, you know, stepping into their roles wholeheartedly without hesitation. And I really see that in both of you, to be honest. I really see that you guys, I don't feel like you live through limitations. I feel like if there is a limitation that's there, you kind of like jump over it like a track runner over a hurdle. And, you know, I've seen that in both of you. And I can't wait to, you know, like share a little bit more about some of your projects. But I want to just jump on into these questions. Y'all good with that?
Let's do it.
Oh, yes. So, you know, as we're in the month of March celebrating Women's History Month, and I think I said earlier to you guys, you know, women are doing things all year round. That's just for a side note for everybody out there. We're doing things all year round, but I do love that we get to take this month. So I'm very happy to have you on to be able to talk about these kind of subjects. So how would you define a person who makes history? And either one of you can go first. Whoever wants to take at it first.
I think anyone that's been dead 100 years and we're still talking about them. Harriet Tubman died in 1913 and we still talk about her almost every day. So that's a person who made history for sure.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes,
what about
anyone who contributes to society, right? Sometimes that's not, it's in such a good way, but I'm going to focus on the good ways. People, I mean, I'm thinking about all the nurses and doctors that have been working through the pandemic and just killing it, right? They're amazing. And they're making history currently as we speak. So
wow. You know, I love that you two gave two different eras of history, because that really speaks to my heart, because I do believe that, you know, the Harriet Tubmans, all the people anybody who went before us and have, you know, we're still talking about their name, history. Anybody who is right now on the front line in a situation, we got a pandemic we've never had before in our lifetime, right? That are really doing something, saving lives. You know, they're making history, like as you said, Ginger, as we speak. And so I think history is made in so many different ways. It doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's gone on before us. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's doing something now, but it's like a lifetime thing as far as I'm concerned. And you guys both just kind of shared that. So I really, really appreciate that. Now, you know, being that you both are in the film industry, right? You're in the film industry. Do you believe that the film industry has been, you know, a contributor to creating history? Like historical moments. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I just thought of the Me Too movement, you know, that was huge. And it's just so wonderful that these people that have a big platform to talk to, the world on, they utilized it, because that doesn't always happen, especially in Hollywood, right? And so
Yeah.
I think it was an amazing moment in history, because it gave voice to people that are survivors of abuse, right? And it's changing the way women especially are treated, and men, some men too, I know, suffered at the hands of abuse, but it's changing the way women are treated in the industry, and that's amazing.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That's been a very powerful movement. Yeah.
One thing that I think about when I think of films that have helped to change society, two films come to mind: Hidden Figures. The Hidden Figures.
Yes.
I'd never heard of those women. I'd never heard of them. I didn't know anything about that. I love that I am getting some kind of edutainment, as I call it, kind of educational, you know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah. And then another one that I saw that really impacted me was the Harvey Milk story. Do you remember that movie Milk?
Ooh, yeah.
I never knew much about Harvey Milk either. That just blew my mind. Why haven't I heard of these people? Because, it just, unless someone makes a movie about it, 9 times out of 10, you might not hear about it. You know what I mean? So that's why I think that filmmaking is so important as far as telling stories. I love fictional stories, but I really, really love stories based on real people.
Oh, me too, June. I love that. Yeah, I think that they've contributed greatly. I think that, like you said, that we wouldn't know some of these stories unless someone decided to tell them. We just wouldn't. And I'm so grateful that people have shared certain stories where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting entertained at the same time I'm getting educated. I think a lot of plays that I've been to are telling real stories, and it's not just the people who kind of like made some change that we didn't know about. It's like any story that's going to be able to connect with other people that are going to help them and be inspired as well. And I think also the industry is, Antoine Fisher was one. Where it's just an everyday person with an everyday story. I think there's a lot of great films. I mean, Ginger, can you think of one like?
Well, I was just thinking one night in Miami. I learned so much. That was the name of Regina King's film, right?
It was a good
I
one,
learned so much about all of those men, and it was so neat to see them, interacting with each other. And I know some of that was imagined, but and they did meet, but some of it was fictionalized. But it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. There's so many that are just telling everyday stories too that actually help you. Like there are topics of self-care movies, like people are talking about how to take care of yourself. I mean, there's just so much. So I do thank the film industry for making films and TV shows that educate us, as well as allow opportunities for us to connect with some similar issues or situations we may have been in. There's stories about abuse. There's just so much. So there's a lot. Speaking of that, is there a historical figure that you would like to see brought to life, either film or TV?
I definitely want to see a movie about Dr. Mae Jameson. Do you know who she is?
Girl, no. Tell me who.
Yes,
Dr.
she
Mae.
is the first Black female astronaut to go into space. So Dr. Mae Jameson not only has a medical degree from Cornell, but she also has a degree in African American studies, and she was a dancer. I'm like, that's a movie I want to see. I'm hoping someone will call me to play her.
I was going to say that. I was like, what about playing her?
Exactly. But yeah, every time I read things about her, I'm just like blown away. She's one of my favorite heroes because she's the first real person in space. Dr. Uhura on Star Trek is the fictional one, right? And she actually got a chance to meet Nichelle Nichols, the woman who played Dr. Uhura on Star Trek. So you know what I mean? But just for her to be the first Black female astronaut, I just think that's amazing. So
that's awesome. I got to actually sing for Nichelle Nichols' 85th birthday.
I love her.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had to, I was never a Trekkie, but I always had heard about her and I'd seen her.
Yes.
And it was just like an honor to be able to do that. I was like,
Yes.
this is so cool.
Oh,
So
that's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Ginger, what would you like to see on TV and film?
Well, she's actually the only female patron saint from Ireland. Her name is Bridget of Kildare, and she was like from the 500s. Okay. And
Wow.
most people don't know, she helped like a lot of women that were being trafficked at the time out of their situation. She secured properties for them. And I happen to be of Irish heritage, so that is also a role I might like to play. But most people don't, right? But most people don't know anything about her either. Right. And it just there's so many women from everywhere, right? That are just not. We don't learn about them in history in school, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Thank you. That's really, really cool. Really, really cool. You know, some of our ancestors, you know, and I'm discovering some more and more about my own family, but some of our ancestors have made some great impact in their communities and nobody knows about it. And so for me, that's what I would like to do. Not so much as a historical figure that someone knows, but I'd love to take one of my ancestors and share their story. Like that's a dream of mine. And so I am working on that. So I'm really excited about being able to share something that has inspired me that I did not know that I found out about, where my family member made some change. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this has got to be shared. So thank you guys for, you know, mentioning who you'd like to see. Cause I definitely, you know, both of those women that you're talking about, I don't know much about them. I don't know much about them. So thank you for, see you guys, y'all getting some education tonight, some education. So
Edutainment.
Edutainment. That's it. Edutainment. So you guys are getting it both of these women, you know, they're making history in their own right. They got, you know, some stuff to give y'all. We're going to keep it going. So, you know, speaking of that, where do you guys draw your inspiration from for your storytelling? Because you're not just in front of the camera, but you're behind the camera as well. And you're also producing and writing and, you know, directing and all of that stuff. Where do you draw some of your inspiration from? Is it personal? Is it, you know, like the experience you've been through? Is it history? Is it fiction? I mean, is it Mama Jane that you know? Like, where does it come from? Tell us.
Okay, I'll go first. So I have a short film that I wrote and produced and starred in called Jitters, and it went to about like 10 or 11 film festivals. My husband and I, we have a company called Silverlocks Films, and my husband directed it, but I wrote it and produced it. And it's about a conversation between, it's like Wedding Day Jitters. It's a conversation between a daughter and her father the day of her wedding, her estranged father. She had not seen him in years, but she invited him just because she wanted him to walk her down the aisle. So I took that from, and you'll probably be able to relate to this, Chantel. I took that from an actual argument that my father and I had when I was dating a white guy, because he said to me, well, you know, I'm never going to come to the wedding if you marry him. I said, you ain't been to my graduation. You ain't been to no recitals. You ain't been to nothing else. Why do you all of a sudden think, you know what I mean, that it's going to be a problem, like a surprise? You're not going to be there for that. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real thing that happened. You know, a very sweet white guy, but we didn't end up getting married. I married a black guy, but still. But the fact that I had a conversation like that with my father, that was kind of like the little seed for Jitters. And I was able to write this, and it got into a lot of film festivals. And we even got some, you know, we got some attention from the SAG Foundation. They even showed it at the actual SAG office. So we got a little attention. Thank you. So yeah, I'm pretty proud about that. And my husband and I continue to make short films. We did another short film that got into some film festivals as well, a film that my husband wrote called Vicious Anne. And it's about a woman who is saving a young girl. You know what I mean? And so all these kind of things. Now, that was something that my husband wrote, but it came from just the idea of what was going on, like you mentioned earlier, Ginger, about trafficking, that kind of a thing, and a young girl being saved by a woman who happens to be a martial artist, because my husband is into martial arts as well. He's a fight choreographer. He's a martial artist as well. You know what I mean? So we put all those things together. So we take some stuff from our real life and then we add it into our films.
Nice. Good
yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you.
I just finished. Well, actually, it's in post-production now. I shot in November in Brooklyn, New York, a film that I produced and wrote and starred in, and it's called Not Like the Other Girls, and it's about a female cop who's also a mother, and she's really haunted by her past, and she has trouble solving a murder of a young girl. I don't want to tell too much, but
Too much, right.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I say this and not give it all away?
Right.
But
That's
I
powerful.
actually, thank you. Yeah, it actually came about because I really wanted to show that I could play a cop, you know, and because people see me, you can't tell on screen, but I'm diminutive. I'm only 5 feet tall, so. But I'm pretty powerful, and I really
Yes,
want.
you are, honey.
I want to try to play cop and also a mother. And I'm at this weird in between age. Anyway, it was that was the start and foundation. And then as I wrote, I started adding more of my personal past into the story, and it was interwoven with this murder, and it made it all the more truthful. I think the honesty of the piece it's more authentic, right?
Yes.
So it deals with childhood sexual abuse, which is not a light subject matter, but I think it does it in a very powerful way. So anyway, I did pull from past, but also mixed with fiction, like June was saying, right? You kind of do whatever works.
Yeah. I like that, ladies. I mean, June, that subject that you were talking about, like, the black and the white thing, and then our parents and how they experience us and our choices. It's like, that story is so needed to be told, because you're not the only one that experienced it. There's so many more experience, and I remember my uncle, because I'm married to a Jewish man, and I remember my uncle was like, what are you bringing him here for?
Wow.
I mean, it was like one of those, but being who I am, I stepped up to the plate and confronted it, and so I didn't tell a story about it, but I really appreciate you educating people about these tough subject matters.
That's right.
And what you did in that situation, so thank you for that. And and Ginger, what you're talking about, like, taking some of your life and combining. You're combining, like, I'm going to be a little bit creative here, but I'm also going to give the people a piece of me. I think whenever we tell stories, whenever we can have our natural authenticity on it, that is when it goes and does what it's supposed to do. So thank you both. I mean, I haven't seen your film yet, June, so I definitely am planning on watching that.
It's on my website. It's on my website,
okay.
ElizabethJune.com.
Oh, nice.
There,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to ask you, how do we see it?
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. And Ginger, when did you say yours is coming out? When is
we're going to hopefully start entering it festivals in April. So it's still in post right now, but it's getting closer. I'm hoping there's a trailer next week, and I'll definitely send it your way, you guys.
Yes, we definitely would love to see that. Wonderful, ladies. Good stuff you guys are doing. Thank you for sharing that. Now I want to segue just a little bit. So, because being that you're doing your own stuff, but in the front of the camera, when you're in the front of the camera, or say if you're producing or you take on a director's role, like when you take on a project or a role, what is the one deciding factor for you to say yes to it? Either one.
You want to go first? Okay, I'll go first.
You can.
It's interesting. The older I get, the more I have received audition information from my agent, and sometimes I'm okay with saying no. This is not going to. I don't see. When I was younger, I was like, I'll take anything. If my agent sent it, I'm going. I'm going to do it. Now, as I get older, I realize what it is I want to show to the world, the way I want to be
Mm.
presented to the world, and so forth. And so I have no problem saying no. So an easier way for me to answer that question is if there's anything that looks like it's not going to be something that I want to see myself doing 10 years from now, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So I
Yes,
usually
girl.
say yes to the things that as soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, this is making me laugh, or oh, this is making me cry, or this is doing
Yeah.
something. It's got to do something to me. You know what I mean?
Mm,
That's usually
mm,
the kind of stuff that I will say yes to. Or
mm.
if it's a commercial and it's just 2 lines getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, then yeah,
Those commercials bring that quick money.
I made more money on commercials where I just say 2 words than I have for anything where I had to memorize all those daggone lines. So yeah.
I love that too. I've always loved commercials. That's where I've made my money, to be honest.
That's
like
right.
the money that I've made. But I really want to, just before we jump to Ginger, I really just want to just honor you with that, because I think so many people still take roles because they're maybe desperate for the role, or maybe like, I've been waiting, so I need to get it, or, I need to pay my bills. I mean, there are a lot of different factors why people take roles. That's why I wanted to ask you guys this, not just for acting, but also, producing or directing, because it's very important, because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to go to bed at night with what you've done. And I like how you said, if I can't see myself 10 years from now, it's already a no for me. That is like choosing what works for June, not what works for everybody and what they want June to do. So thank you, honey. Thank you for being a great example with that and trailblazing the way. Ginger, what about you?
I totally agree with what June said. I also think, for me, anything that feels like a little bit of a challenge and maybe scares me a little bit as an actor, I want to try to do that. So
yeah,
so that's something else. Also, anything that seems fun, right? Anything that's fun or challenge, and that goes for producing as well. I would want to tell a story that has interesting characters that are challenging to each other, right? Yeah. So, and it's interesting, June. You don't direct either, and neither do I, right? You're actor.
Well, I do direct. I directed one film. Yeah, I did direct one thing, but it hasn't gotten into film festivals yet, because right when we were trying to submit it places, then we moved, and then the pandemic, and so we're still kind of tweaking it, and we're still going to be submitting it to places. Yeah.
Did you act in it? I'm just curious. Did you?
No, I did not act in it. Oh Lord, I don't want to direct myself. No.
That was 100% how I feel, and that's where I was going with this. Is that I do not want to direct myself ever. So that's awesome.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same way with you guys. There's only a few people that can do that, to be honest, and just pull it off.
Right?
And I'm not one of them.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, cool. Ginger, you said something that really sticks out for me, and that's a challenge taken on. Because when I hear taking on a role that's a challenge, that means growth. For me, it means that for me, I'm just looking at, if it's a challenge, that means I'm going to probably learn more, and I'm probably going to grow more, because I'm afraid of it, and it's a challenge for me. So thanks for mentioning that, because I don't think that sometimes people look at like, hey, maybe take this opportunity because it's going to grow you. I think for me, I can relate to both of you guys, because I know for a fact that I always feel like, if my kids can't watch it for me, I can't do it. Because I'm their role model. I'm the one that's going to show them the value system that they need to maintain. And so that's what it is for me. If it doesn't fit my value system, if it doesn't match my worth, I just can't do it. And it may be an incredible role for somebody else. It just is not one for me. And I have taken on some roles that I probably shouldn't have been in, and all because I was either desperate, trying to get the next job, like, okay, I'm not doing anything, so I gotta take something. But I've grown up a little bit, and I appreciate you said, as we get older, we're really figuring out what we want to do. So yeah, this is good stuff, ladies. All you filmmakers, actresses, I hope you guys are taking notes because this is really good. Really, really good. So I wanted to just, talk about a little bit about the female filmmakers because you guys are. Can you name a female filmmaker that you feel like, oh, they're making a huge impact out there? They're changing the game out there. And if there's one, I'd like to know who it is for you. And then also, what is the one thing that you like about their process? So if they're making a big impact, what do you like about their process? And then the second part of that is, are you emulating it in any way? And Ginger, you can go first with this one.
Oh, okay. What comes to mind for me, two people actually. One of them is more television. So I'll start with a filmmaker, Emerald Fennell, who wrote Promising Young Woman.
Oh, I love that movie. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And she's also an actress, a writer,
Yes,
director, producer, all of that. And
she's like you.
Right. And she's
really good,
amazing. And that film, right? It was really powerful. And the other
she got the
person,
Academy Award for that, for screenwriter.
she got
the
writing for the script.
Wow.
And then at the same time, she was in The Crown playing. She was playing the what's the one that he's married to now? Not Princess Diana, but the one he's with now.
Why can't I
don't ask me?
Camilla.
French.
Camilla, right?
Camilla. Yes, she's playing Camilla in The Crown at the same time, getting all these nominations for writing.
Wow,
fantastic! Yeah.
And that was amazing. The other person that comes to mind is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who
she's fantastic.
Does everything as well. And I just love Killing Eve is one of my favorite TV shows, mostly because I think she's paving the way. This is the second part to your question, Chantel. I think she's paving the way for women of all different ethnicities and ages and everything to be in a TV show, and all of them are really badass. I don't know if I can say that, but yeah, they're really. Can I say that? I'm sorry. Anyway, they're amazing. They're all like, I'm sorry. That's a nice connotation, though, isn't it? But they're amazing women, and their roles that she writes are rich with a lot of powerful women. Anyway, so those two women came to mind for me.
That's cool. Now, I love that you like them, and they are doing them some bad mama jammas. So what do you specifically like? If you had to say the one thing that you like about their process, and if you're emulating it, great. If not, that's fine too. I just kind of want to see, because I want people to really kind of get a sense of like, when we like people out there and we are inspired by different people, a lot of times we emulate some of the steps and some of their process. Right. And so I'd love for the people to know, a little bit about that for you personally.
Oh, okay. So with Emerald Fennell, with the Promising Young Woman film, I know she was, because I've read a lot of different articles that she was interviewed in. I know that she was very integral in the production design and the set design and how the film looked. And there was a very like bubblegum cotton candy. I don't know if you guys remember that film look to it. That had almost like a 1950s, like perfect look, but they were being, there was an underlying abuse story going on. And so, and that was the juxtaposition of that. And I thought that was really powerful. She said she used one of Britney Spears' songs at a very pivotal moment in the film on purpose. And she had it, rearranged, and it was just strings. And it was really very interesting because Britney Spears, she said, and I'm paraphrasing, is, a pop icon and also for a long time was over-sexualized to all of us, right? As she was growing up. And that went with the over-sexualization of the woman in this film. And I thought that was so powerful. So to me, I think that's amazing that she she wanted to be a part of all those different aspects in her film. Obviously, when you're producing, you do that, but I'm just saying, like, she played a role in making sure those things happened a certain way. And I would like to try to do that always when I'm making film as well.
Nice, nice.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. That's good. It's like you see her process and you're wanting to emulate it. You're wanting to make it a part of what you do. That's changing. That's making history as far as I'm concerned. Because what you will do, you will end up, somebody will look at what you're doing, and it's all something from what you've learned from somebody else that keeps getting passed down. So thank you. Yeah, thank you, June. What about you, honey?
Well, my favorite director right now that's current is Sally Richardson Whitfield. She is the director and one of the executive producers of The Gilded Age, which is out right now on HBO Max. I don't know if you guys have seen The Gilded Age yet. I love it. It's kind of like the New York version of Downton Abbey, because it's an American, it's by the same gentleman who produced Downton Abbey, but now it's like based in New York back in the day, like years ago. It's a period piece. But Sally Richardson Whitfield is a Black woman directing The Gilded Age with all these white people. So the average person wouldn't know that she's the executive producer, and she's directed so many of those episodes. She's also an actress in her own right, and she's gorgeous. Like, if you look her up, Sally, Sall.
Oh, I know Sally.
She is, right. Look her up, because she's stunning. But yet she is behind the scenes on The Gilded Age, and she's a wonderful actress in her own right. She was in a sci-fi show that my husband and I used to watch all the time called Eureka. So we loved her on that. And now she's like pretty much directing all the time now. And her husband is an actor as well, Dondre Whitfield, and he's on Queen Sugar. You know what I mean? So I love that whole thing of husband and wife, and they're both doing their thing. They're both performing. So I think that's really cool. And then one of my favorite entertainers of all time happens to also be a director, Barbara Streisand. A lot of people don't think about her as a female director, but she is the only female director who has won a Golden Globe for directing.
Really? The only one?
The only one. Look it up. For Yentl. Wow. Yes. Now, many have been nominated over the years. Many have been nominated for director, but female. You see what I mean? So stuff like that. Just blown away by her. And of course, we know all of her other things. I don't have to tell you who else, other things she's done. But the fact that as a director, she's had that. And she was nominated for so many things for Yentl, which is one of my favorite movies also. So those two right now, I kind of like balance it, like old school and then currently like what Sally is doing as well.
Yeah.
And as far as how it influences me, I am a singer. I am a Juna and a Moona and a Springer. So of course,
June, you got a little comedy going on too, girl. That might be your comedy too.
Yes, I have done some stand-up comedy when I was in New York.
Oh wow!
So you know what I mean. So I want to definitely bring something with all those things into it. Some comedy. I want to make you laugh. I want to make you cry. I want to do a little singing. I want to do the whole shebang. And to bring that kind of thing together, that's how these women have influenced me for sure.
Nice. So do you feel like that their influence, do you feel like when you're doing something like maybe either acting or either when you are directing something, do you feel like you've put a little bit of something you've learned from them into the mix?
For sure. I want to definitely, anything I do definitely is going to have a little poetry in it, definitely going to have a little music in it, maybe a little movement, definitely some singing, in it. I like to try to bring all those kind of elements into things that I'm doing. And from here on out, I have a screenplay that I've written called Sex with Clergy and Veggie Burgers. Weird title. I love that reaction to it. Good. I love that reaction to it.
It sounds like it's gonna be a twister. It's gonna be funny.
Very much so. There's music in it. There's definitely animation in it. There's some heartbreak in it. It's the whole shebang. So and it also deals with clergy sexual abuse, childhood sexual abuse as well. So, and it's a weird thing. Sometimes people say it's kind of a genre bending tale because you don't normally have that kind of a topic and dealing with laughter or whatever. But guess what? Yeah. There are people who have been molested by clergy. Hello, I'm speaking it out. in public, because I'm not ashamed. They need to be ashamed. I'm not ashamed. But who can still make you laugh? Who can still sing? Who can still bring it? Who can still, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
rarely show movies like that deal with the actual victim, or rather survivor of it. Doubt was a wonderful film with Meryl Streep, with Viola Davis, and it dealt with clergy sexual abuse, but you never saw the child. You never got his point of view. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Another big movie, I think it was called Spotlight, was a movie that won Academy Award one year.
Yes.
And it dealt with all those reporters dealing with clergy sexual abuse of the priest, but they never dealt with how it affected the person who was abused.
Oh, girl.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why my script has been doing pretty well on the Blacklist. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where you submit your script and people read it. They have readers and so forth for it. It's been doing pretty well on there. I've gotten some good response. I've gotten some critiques. You know what I mean? So I'm still working on it, but I'm going to get this film made. And for several reasons, but it's going to have all of those different things, because it's not going to be some maudlin, slit your wrist kind of thing. It's going to be a thing of survivorship. It's going to be a thing of being a champion, even in the midst of all of that. It's going to be about finding the blessings on the battlefield. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love
That's
that.
amazing.
Oh, girl. Now, this is a screenplay or stage play?
Screenplay. Yeah, I haven't. It's a full feature. It's a feature screenplay that I'm working on. I'm trying to shop it, because I'm not trying to film it myself. It just, the money, I would not want to shortchange it and try to do it myself. You know what I mean? I definitely want to shop it and get it done. Get it produced. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is you're tying it back to Barbara Streisand because of Prince of Tides and what she did with that, and the care she used with that. Chantel, do you remember that film?
And even Nuts too, because she dealt with that.
The Prince of Tides. I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
She handled, Barbara Streisand directed it. She handled the childhood sexual abuse story of it very well.
Wow. Wow. Exactly. I'm one of those, I actually need to get caught up on my movies. I'm one of those girls. Like, I was just telling someone the other day, like, I rarely get to see TV. I want to see some TV or something. I want to go to a movie or something. But no, everything that you guys are dropping, it's just good. I love it. I love it. June, I love what you're doing with this new project of yours. I don't know if you guys know, I did a short film called Emerald King, and it was really about the life of the person. I did it from more of a place of, when we don't get help. This is what it looks like.
Wow.
When you don't get help, if it happened to you when you were a child, and there's no help, you don't get help for it. This is what it looks like in the adult body.
Yes.
And
that's my film. That's funny.
That's kind of like how I approached that, because it was very important for me to share. So I cannot wait for you to get this out, because girl, and if you need some extra people,
okay,
we're here. Because I think both of the stories you both are doing are really incredible stories. And so I want to applaud you for, doing what you do. So you guys on YouTube and Facebook, I want you to understand that these women, they have these ideas, but these ideas don't just sit up in here, and they don't just sit up in here. They actually are putting them out. So if any of you need, some help with how to do that, these ladies, they know how to do that. So I hope you guys are catching these things, because I think that there's more. I think everybody has a story, to be honest. There's so many stories out there, and everybody has their own story. So thank you for sharing y'all's. I want to segue a little bit, because I love to see what the people are talking about in the comments. So let me see if I can't see all of the comments here. Let me see. Someone just said, hey, someone put, hey, girl, I'm loving you. You are amazing, young lady. Great stuff, ladies. Loving this conversation. And I can't put my other comments. So when this is streaming, I definitely can't see any comments from YouTube. And when this is streaming on 2 different pages on Facebook, I can only see one of them. So if you out there, if you all are sending comments from the other page, I won't be able to see it, but I will acknowledge it after we're off here. But I think people are just enjoying the conversation right now. So I'm very grateful you guys are on. Thank you all for being out here on here. So that's all I had right there. Did you guys have any if you have any questions, Facebook, please put them in the chat. YouTube, if you have questions, just put them in. I'll get them later. We're kind of coming to a close here, but I had a couple of other questions that I wanted to, ask you guys. I wanted to just ask you, like, why do you think, in the name of talking about history, why do you think it's just really important to like keep it alive? And I asked this question because I think history needs to be kept alive in the arts. I know with everything that has went on in our world, I'm personally one of those people. I don't believe in tearing down history. I just don't. I believe that if you tear it down, you don't leave the next generation an opportunity to learn from it. And so what happens is it gets erased and they know nothing about, and this generation nowadays, they loving their YouTube pages, their cell phones. They're like completely great. They're just intertwined in the social media stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of them don't know a lot of stuff that was going on. I know in my house, I am educating these girls. I'm telling them about these people who went on before them because they're not really teaching it in schools, right? No. There's just a few people. They talk about a few people in the schools, but they don't give them a real global view. And so my personal opinion, like, if you tear down the art, if you remove everything, nobody gets to learn from it. It's really just literally being erased. And I know there's a lot of bad stuff out there in history, but I do believe that if we tear down everything, we move it, and especially from the arts too, we don't give that next generation an opportunity to learn something and be the game changers, because they're going to be the ones to continue to come on and make changes. If they don't know what changes that need to be made, they won't make them. So what are your thoughts on this, you guys?
Yeah. That just made me think about Christopher Columbus when I was growing up, how we learned about him and how it wasn't really historically accurate what we learned about him. And I come from a Native American background as well, even though you can't tell by looking at me. My great grandmother was from the Cherokee tribe, and she married my great grandfather, who was a German Jewish guy. So I don't know how they dealt with that in the 1800s. It's pretty cool. But I remember because of that part of my family history, my family was always very, staunch about how we were learning about Chris Columbus in school. Yeah. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I'm glad that we have Indigenous Peoples Day now as a result of the true history coming out. And then while you were talking just now, Chantel, I just thought about how much I learned when I saw Hamilton on Broadway. I learned so much more from watching that and from listening to the soundtrack a million times than I ever did in a history class, really, the accuracy of it. And so the arts are so important to tell as much as we can the truth of our history, all of us from all the different walks of life, right? Because at school, I hope that is changing, but I don't have children, so I'm not sure. School, they don't always teach you that. The truth of it, the reality, and other perspectives, because we're all very different people, right? We're not all the same. We're not all from the same land or whatever. And so I think that's important anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Yes, we definitely have to keep it, like your example of learning about Hamilton from the stage play or the movie. It's not a movie yet, right? No, it's just a stage play right now. But
but they're showing it on Disney, so you can
it's kind of like a movie because it's on Disney.
It's watching the theater,
and you could read the book, but I mean, you said you got more accuracy watching it. So thank you for that. June, what about you?
Well, first of all, Ginger and I are cousins because my great grandmother was Cherokee also. So and it doesn't look like it. It's that same kind of thing. There's definitely an ounce of it somewhere. So we definitely have that in common. And so it's very important, I believe, for us to tell the whole story, but we have to do it in a way that is responsible. So of course, with all this critical race theory thing that's going on, and they're trying to ban even talking about George Washington was a slave owner. Why not? Talk
Oh,
about the
right,
fact
right,
that Thomas
right.
Jefferson was a slave owner and was having children with his slaves. Why not? Because if
Mhm.
you try to paint these people as being so perfect, and then you paint the people who were their slaves as being so imperfect, there's a disconnect. There's an imbalance, right?
Mm,
So now
mm.
you have to also be responsible with the way the children are interpreting it. I had a student, a white student, in one of my Zoom talks on Black history, and he said, Miss June, sometimes the kids at school make fun of me. I feel bad about what has happened to Black people as well, but then some of the other kids tease me. And I said, you know
Oh,
what you have to do is understand there were abolitionists. Explain to them what abolitionists mean, what abolish
Yeah.
means,
wow,
and
yeah.
then let them know there were white people who helped slaves
Well,
escape
Yes.
from it. There were white people who risked their lives. John Brown, people who risked their
yeah.
lives.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can't just give half of it, because then you're irresponsible, and then Black kids are beating up white kids in school for something that happened a long time ago. You got to let
Right.
everybody, and you got to let Black kids know too, that there were white people
Right.
who were risking their lives to
Mm,
abolish
Right.
slavery. Do you understand what I'm saying? Once you
yes.
have balance,
Mhm.
then you can teach the white kid, don't identify with the slave owner, identify with the abolitionist, identify with the
Woo.
helpers.
Girl,
Oh, I love that.
we're gonna just give you the floor, honey. You need to be speaking on a platform, like publicly at an event. That part right there. Wow, thank you, ladies. Thank you. Oh my gosh. This is really, really, really good stuff. Both of you, really, really good stuff. Thank you, thank you. We are a little bit at our time and getting ready to go over just a little bit, but I'm cool with that if y'all are cool, because I do want to ask you this last question, because I think what you just shared, the education of really getting down to the really real nitty grit of what really happened is so important. All of it, not just some of it, but all of it. Put it together, educate people. And I love that you're teaching these kids, this next generation, because there's just really not a lot. And I appreciate what you shared, Ginger. Like, you're hoping that the school system will change. There are a few people like you, June, who are really, you're very like teaching it, but some people that's just is not important. It's not important. But yeah, thank you guys. Lastly, I just wanted to ask you this question: like, if you were in charge, like if God just said, "Hey, you gonna be in charge of all of this entertainment industry stuff," is there anything that you would implement differently that would grant other upcoming producers and filmmakers more opportunities to make history? And it could just be one thing that you would implement differently.
Go ahead.
I just was thinking about more inclusion. I mean, it's starting to happen, but we need more of it. And so my film has a lot of characters in it, even though it's short. It's because it's a murder mystery. There are a lot of characters in it, and even though it's primarily about my character, who is this Irish cop in New York, wherever I could cast people of all different races in this film, I did, and it was so
Wow.
cool because it felt good to do it. It was fun. It looks amazing because I prefer to watch a bunch of different people than just a bunch of white people, right? So it was really cool. And then I got really lucky sort of by accident with my crew. My crew was amazing, and they were all so different. I had a woman director who is now become a very dear friend of mine, and she's amazing. And so she was a female director, right? And then an African-American cinematographer, and sound man who was this little Japanese guy. And
Wow.
we had like this all array of rainbow in our crew as well. And it was amazing. And I guess what I'm saying is it would be great if we could always somehow implement that, because it gives everyone more opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I will be honest, I've seen, even just with everything that's went on lately, I've actually seen more people of color, more different races
Mhm.
actually get brought onto new shows. I'm seeing these new
Mhm.
faces. I'm like, and even some of my friends have gotten more work than they had gotten before the pandemic. It's very
That's good.
interesting. It's very
Right.
That's
interesting. So
good.
I think some of that is starting to happen, and I love that
Oh
you're doing
yeah.
that on your film, because it's you think about it. I always like to look at, and this may be a weird analogy, but I like to look at people as Skittles, right? You don't just have I mean, some people just like the orange Skittle, but for the most part, for me, I'm usually eating the green, the red, the orange, the blue, the purple, all of it, because it's all in the same bag. So
I
when
love that.
you think about people, we're the Skittles, and Skittles taste good. At least for me, I like me some sweets. And so it's good to have a mixture of people in the community, because their voice, who they are, what they do, they're actually going to impact their community. When the Japanese person see their person in your film, they're like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to watch this because I
Mhm.
connect with what he's still talking about. Vice versa, the Black woman, the white woman, all of it. We're
Mhm.
Skittles.
Yes.
Enjoy the colors. Enjoy the colors. So, June, go ahead. What about you, darling?
I
If you
would think that we would have to approach the politicians, because
mm,
unfortunately, they're the ones that are in
Mm.
charge of the National Endowment of the Arts. They're the ones that are in charge
Ah,
with making sure that we get the funding as artists that we need. So I feel like there are many of us artists that need to make our presentations straight to the politicians, the decision makers,
ooh,
the ones who allow it. There was a
wow.
clip that I saw years ago of Mr. Rogers. Remember Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
yes.
He made an impassioned speech at a big, political
Oh,
thing.
I've seen
Remember, he's
that.
sitting at a desk and he's talking to the gentleman and he's trying to do an impassioned speech, and he's just talking about what it is that he was doing for children and how important it
Mm,
was for public television to, you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
unfortunately, the person that we had in office not too long ago was trying to get rid of public television, trying to get rid of Sesame Street, we have to get to the heads of the politicians, the heads and the hearts
Mm,
of the
mm,
politicians,
Mhm.
because they are the ones that are making the decisions as far as what's even allowed to be shown on TV. Believe it or not,
yeah.
they pull way more strings than we think about. So it's not just about, oh, I want to get a colorblind casting project or whatever. Yes, that's great,
Yeah.
but if the politicians are not the ones who are going to allow us, next thing you know, you're like, why is my favorite show off the air already? Because somebody did
Oh
something,
yeah.
and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've got
Yes.
to get in there, even if it means I hate to think about trying to be a politician myself, but if I got to be, I will, to make sure that there's more arts, that there's arts in schools. They're taking the
Yeah.
arts out of schools. They're taking
Mhm.
Yeah.
the arts
Yeah.
out of the places that that's the only reason I went to school. You know what I mean?
Me too.
A lot of people only go to school for like
The arts, the
the arts,
sports, you know what I
arts
mean?
and
And
sports. Yeah.
they always fund the sports section, but they are trying to little by little take out the arts. So we've got to
Right.
make sure
Wow.
that we have people, if we have to learn how to be grant writers, then we need to learn how to be grant writers. If we have to learn how to be the ones to talk to our politicians that are in charge of whatever, we got to be, those are the things that I would change if I were in charge.
That's
Woo!
great.
Both of y'all bringing it. I love it. I love it. Yes,
Yeah.
June. I think, honey, you might end up having to be on the front line for politics.
I don't want to be a politician.
You totally could though. You would be
I mean,
amazing.
not necessarily being a politician, but you might need to be one of the advocates. I'm not sure. I'm just hearing you talk, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a level. I mean, who's doing that?
I'd rather play a politician on TV. But when I take this wig off, I look like Lori
Right.
Lightfoot. I'll be mayor of Chicago. I'll play her.
Here's the thing. I learned something from one of my pastors, is that when you say if you have an idea, you're probably going to have to be the one to go do it.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
because like,
Yeah.
that's just kind of what it is, because until we start actually living out our ideas, like you guys are doing this with your film, but all
Yeah.
the other ideas that we have for change,
Yeah.
we're probably gonna be the ones that have to be the spokesperson for it, or the representative, or actually the one leading and trailblazing the way. So I really appreciate both of what you guys share, because this is such good stuff. Good stuff, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. You guys hear that? So we are definitely over our time, but as someone to put over here, they cool with you going over time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But ladies, you have just filled me up tonight with so much good stuff, and this information that you both are sharing, it's priceless. I mean, you can't pay for this kind of stuff. This is just like, I think people really needed to hear this, and I hope more people that didn't get to watch tonight will go back and watch this, because what you have shared has been really, really valuable. So thank you for sharing you with me tonight. I appreciate you. Yes. So that is it. Facebook and Instagram. Not Instagram. We're going to go over there later, right? It's not Instagram, it's YouTube. Get it right, Chantel. Get it right. But in closing, I would love for you to tell people where they could find you, because I really think that I would love to get the link of wherever the film is. I think June, you said it was on your website. If you can name off your website for us. And anything, Ginger, you want people to know about you. But I'd love for you to tell people where they could find you if they want to talk more, because you might have some filmmakers on here, or some producers or writers, etc.
Definitely. Okay, so if you go to elizabethjune.com/official, you got to put that little /official at the end of it. elizabethjune.com/official. That's the website, and my film Jitters is on there, and also I think Vicious Ann is on there too. So we have 2 films on there, and also my reel is on there as well. Because I did my footage from Blackish and from Fresh Off the Boat and Criminal Minds, and a new show called Hightown. All those are on, my clips are on there. Now, if you go to follow me on Instagram, it's Elizabeth June NY. Elizabeth June NY, because I'm from New York.
Yeah, Bronx, baby.
Mine is Ginger. Oh, go ahead.
No, really quickly, June, I wanted to say thank you for letting people know, because you're on a show right now.
Yes.
And it got picked up, right? Another season.
Yes. We got another season called Hightown. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'll be in season 3 as well. Yeah, that's on Stars. Yeah.
Yes, congratulations on that, lady. Nice. Congratulations. Go ahead, Ginger.
Oh, so my website where you can find everything that I do is gingerbrittdaniels.com. And my Instagram is at gingerbrittdaniels. So pretty easy. Britt has 2 T's.
Thank you. Thank you, Ginger. So y'all, please follow these ladies. Please get in on what they're doing and what they have coming up, because I guarantee you the more and more stuff that they pull out for y'all, the more and more you get to see all of the amazing things that they're doing. So we like to celebrate people on the show. So I celebrate y'all. Whoop, whoop, ladies. All righty, that's it. Have a great night. Make it a good one, because y'all